helicopter has found no trace of Linda.
The police were far more concerned than they would normally be for you come in a garden missing from home. I think everyone believed right from the beginning that something more sinister was afoot with this case.
3 days later, their worst fears were confirmed when the body of a young woman was found on the moors 5 miles away. It was identified as Linda's. The pathologist reported that she had died as a result of multiple blows to the head with a heavy blunt instrument.
The call for further help from the public remains, with the belief that it may now take just one piece of evidence to trap Linda's killer.
There had been no sexual assault or robbery, and with no obvious motive, police began to suspect that Linda had been killed by someone close to her.
People started to look around and say, well, who on earth could that be?
The spotlight fell on the last people known to have seen Linda alive, her family and her boyfriend. The community was stunned. Forensic scientists were sent into their homes. The search at Linda's boyfriend's house produced no evidence. He was in the clear. But during the search of the Fleming family home, there was a shocking discovery: microscopic specks of blood.
There was, I recall, blood staining between the tiles on some of the grouting. There was a small amount of staining within a cupboard in the utility room, and there was a stain on a peg bag which was subjected to DNA analysis.
At lunchtime today, detectives announced that a 51-year-old local man had been arrested in connection with Linda Fleming's murder.
Linda's brother was in the clear because of an alibi. Police arrested her father, Derek.
I confess, we were all pretty staggered by that, because you just don't hear about fathers murdering their grown-up daughters.
Then came a second breakthrough. A search of Fleming's car produced more traces of blood. There was also blood under the laces of his shoes. He was now the prime suspect in his daughter's murder. The net was closing in. Fleming's account of his whereabouts on the day Linda disappeared didn't add up.
He said that he'd returned home at around about 8:15. They confronted him with the fact that his wife and their neighbour had said that he'd returned at about 10 and that they were there. And so it was that Fleming then changed his account and said, oh, well, I must have returned home twice.
Police questioned Fleming for nearly 3 days. He continued to deny any involvement in the murder. Without more evidence, they would have to release him in less than 3 hours. Then came the results. The blood was Linda's. Police presented Fleming with the damning evidence.
And then, and only then, did Fleming ever admit that Linda had been there and that she had died there.
Fleming claimed that Linda had died when he pushed her during a violent argument. He said he'd hit her with a hammer and disposed of her body to make it look like she'd been attacked by a stranger. This contradicted the pathologist's report, which stated that Linda had received at least 9 blows to the head while she was alive. Fleming would change his story several times.
Suddenly the picture that we had of Derek Fleming being this pillar of respectability, being this family man, was shattered. It turned out this happy, married family man had been carrying on an affair for 16 years with a former work colleague.
It was speculated that Linda had found out about her father's affair and was about to reveal all.
Derek Fleming turned out to be a control freak who ruled his family with an iron fist, if you like. It's a cliche, but it's true. He was an absolute tyrant in the home.
Derek Fleming was convicted of murder and sentenced to life imprisonment.
Linda, wherever you are, or for whatever reason, please come home or just ring. We all love you.
It emerged that Fleming had been reluctant to take part in the police press appeal, an appeal that was later to be dramatically turned against him. In an unusual step, his apparently grief-stricken plea was played to the judge and jury during his trial.
He practiced a cruel and arrogant deception on his family at a time when they must have been aging with anxiety over Linda's fate. But this was, first and foremost, a lie. This press conference showed, we suggested, just how controlled he could be, because that quivering of the lip, that crocodile tear, was wholly bogus. It was the act of a man who was trying to save his own skin.
Linda, wherever you are, or for whatever reason, please come home or just ring. We all love you and we want you home with us.
Not everyone breaks down in front of the cameras. Sean Jenkins, flanked by his wife, was the model of calm control as he appealed for help after his foster daughter, Billie Jo, was found murdered.
As a family, we are totally devastated. We do not understand why our daughter has been murdered or what the motive could possibly be.
13-year-old Billie Jo had been bludgeoned to death as she painted the patio doors of the family home in East Sussex.
We appeal to anyone who thinks they have any information about this crime to contact the police urgently. Now that we have attended this press conference today, I would ask the media to respect my family's privacy.
Jenkins claimed there had been a prowler, but he was convicted on forensic evidence and sentenced to life. Like many killers, he thought he could escape justice by manipulating the media and police. It was Manchester's biggest police investigation since the Moors murders.
It's a very, very sensitive thing to a lot of people in the Northwest, you know, children going missing.
May Bank Holiday weekend, schoolboy Jamie Lavis goes missing.
How can an 8-year-old child, and bear in mind he was only just 8 years of age, how long can he survive out on his own, unsupported?
Openshaw, a run-down suburb of Manchester. This was Jamie's home and playground. On Monday the 5th of May, he went out to play, but didn't come back.
We was looking for him. Up until tea time, we thought he was just messing about, playing hide and seek or whatever. And then when it got late, about 8 o'clock, it was really starting to worry people. My mum, she was shaking. When my dad came home, she just broke down. She says, we need to find him. It's getting late, it's getting dark. And then it got to 10 o'clock, we had to phone the police.
The police called a press conference and asked Jamie's mother, Karen, to help with the appeal.
If anybody out there knows where Jamie is or is giving him food, please just get in touch with the police. Everybody's waiting for him to come home.
Now, Jamie's described as being small for his age. He's about 4 foot tall, and he wears clothes that are made to fit a 5 to 6-year-old.
A crucial witness came forward, Darren Vickers. He approached Jamie's sister, Jane.
And he said to Jane, he wouldn't happen to be wearing a dark blue Reebok tracksuit, would he? So Jane said yes. And he said, oh, he was on my bus.
Bus driver Darren Vickers lived round the corner from the Lavis family, and he quickly joined in the search for Jamie.
He was like a best friend. Anything that we wanted doing, he'd be there, offering his help, no matter what it was, not the time of day and night, he'd be there.
We just got close. It's like one big close family now because we've been out virtually 24 hours a day, all of us involved looking for Jamie.
And remember, if you're desperate like the Lavis family were, they've lost a child, they'll hang on to anything or anyone in order to assist to find that child.
Over the following weeks, there were hundreds of reported sightings of Jamie, but they all came to nothing. The last known person to see him alive was still bus driver Darren Vickers.
Terrible. Could never dream of it. A young child on the bus like that, you know, just going missing. It's just unbearable to think about. It's just a nightmare for everyone.
According to Darren Vickers, Jamie had been just another passenger on the bus. But when police tracked down other witnesses who'd been on the 219 that day, they gave a very different story.
He made that bus like a playground. To be allowed to change gear while the bus is moving, to give out tickets, to press the ticket machine, to sort the change out, to stand in the actual driver's cabin next to the driver. All these things, if you are a young boy, are very, very attractive.
In fact, Jamie had spent over 6 hours on the bus that day. According to Darren Vickers, Jamie had an all-day saver ticket, so he'd allowed him to stay on.
It's like any child that has a day saver ticket which you're boarded with. It's up to them what they do with it. They paid for the ticket. They can do really what they please with it.
They don't issue those sorts of tickets to children, and in fact, Jamie never had a day saver ticket. He was just allowed to remain on the bus.
Police were beginning to have serious concerns about the man who was now in the heart of the Lavis family, and even doing television appeals on their behalf.
There's somebody out there who's got to be sick keeping a child of that age. You know, it shouldn't be done. If they had any respect, they'd just hand him over to the nearest police station, just let the child go in, just let him come home. He's not in trouble, he's not nothing, he's just wanted.
He wanted to do more appeals than what we was willing to do because we didn't want to be constantly in the public eye.
The more that he put himself up in front of the media, which he did regularly, as though he was the hero, trying to find this child, trying to organise all the searches and having the family depend on him all the time, this would assist him to keep one step ahead of the inquiry.
But then a crucial piece of evidence came to light. After going through hours of CCTV footage, the police came across images of Jamie captured at the bus station on the day he disappeared. Darren Vickers was also caught on camera, following Jamie and even ruffling his hair. This contradicted Vickers' story.
It wasn't just a driver with a passenger. The driver had actually left the bus to speak to the child. So again, it's another little piece of information, a piece of intelligence to work on.
The police became even more suspicious when they checked out Vickers' job references.
We found that he'd given false information on his references, and one of his referees was a convicted paedophile.
The Lavis family were about to discover that their newfound friend had become the prime suspect in their son's murder.
On Piccadilly, 11:52.
Darren Vickers joins us on the phone now. Darren, you're the bus driver that was the last person to see little Jamie alive. How come he hasn't been seen since?
I'll never know till the day comes home. I still believe he's alive. If the case was what the police are making out to be, if the case was he was dead, around where they're looking, they'd have found him by now.
Vickers even phoned a late-night radio chat show to volunteer information and was publicly describing himself as part of the family.
So how's the police investigation going?
The police are not letting much information out about that, which the family is supposed to know. You know, the first confirmed sightseeing.
Yeah.
We've never been told.
You always suspected that there was something underneath that he wasn't telling anybody, and I think that's why none of us believed a word he said when he appeared on the show.
3 weeks after Jamie was reported missing, police arrested Darren Vickers for his abduction. They then had to break the news to the